The first time I saw that look in my husband's eyes, I knew he knew something. It was the kind of silence that doesn't just fill a room. It chokes it. Daniel stood in the doorway, his face pale, eyes cold, his hands gripping the edge of the counter like he was holding back a storm. "Who's Ethan?" he asked quietly. My stomach dropped. The sound of that name, the one I swore I'd buried, made my pulse crash in my ears. "My old friend," I said too quickly. "From college." "Why?" He didn't blink. "He sent you flowers." Again. The air between us thickened. The roses on the table looked too red, too alive, like blood blooming in a glass vase. I felt my baby kick. A small twisting reminder inside me that every lie I told had consequences. I smiled weakly. "He's just congratulating us. The baby, you know. Us." His voice cut through mine. "You mean me? The man who doesn't even know who's congratulating him." For a second I couldn't breathe. He wasn't shouting, but the calm in his tone was worse. Because Daniel was never calm when he was angry. He was calm when he was done. He turned and walked upstairs. The echo of his steps was measured, deliberate. I stood there, every nerve screaming at me to follow him, to say something, but I couldn't move. I just stared at the flowers, the little white card resting between the stems. "For you and everything we were. Always, always." That word hollowed me out. I told myself it was harmless when Ethan first reached out. Just an old memory floating back after years apart. He'd messaged me on Facebook a few months after Daniel and I found out we were pregnant. "I heard you're expecting. Congratulations." Simple. Innocent. Except Ethan was never just simple. He was my first love. My first heartbreak. The one who shattered me and left me swearing I'd never look back. So when I replied, it wasn't because I missed him, it was because I wanted to prove to myself that I didn't. That I was stronger now. Married. Stable. Loved. But the truth is, when he wrote, "You always wanted a family. I'm happy for you," I felt something stir. A ghost of what used to be. It started with messages. Then calls. Then a coffee when he was in town for work. I told myself Daniel didn't need to know. It would only make him jealous, suspicious. I told myself lies dressed up as protection. When I found out I was pregnant, I wanted to cut things off. I almost did. But Ethan said, "I just want to be there for you, even as a friend." And maybe part of me wanted that comfort. Someone who knew who I was before I became someone's wife. Someone's mother. Until that night. We'd met at a small restaurant, quiet, tucked away. I told him it would be the last time. That I needed to let go. But when he looked at me, really looked at me like I was still me, I faltered. His hand brushed mine across the table, and I didn't pull away fast enough. Someone had taken a photo. I didn't know then. When I came home that night, Daniel was asleep. His arm was draped over the empty side of the bed. I crawled in beside him, tears burning behind my eyes, and promised myself it was over. It wasn't. Weeks later, the flowers started arriving. Notes slipped into my bag somehow. Calls from an unknown number that went silent when I answered. Ethan said he missed me. I stopped replying. He kept writing. And now Daniel knew. For 3 days after the confrontation, he didn't speak more than a few words to me. He left early for work, came home late. He still cooked for me, still asked about the baby, but his voice had turned mechanical. No warmth, no tenderness. On the 4th day, he came home with a box. "I've been thinking," he said. "You need a break. Some rest before the baby comes. So I booked you a week at the cabin. Just you. I'll come up on the weekend." I forced a smile. "That's thoughtful." He smiled back, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You deserve it." Something about his tone twisted in my gut. That night I checked his phone. Not because I didn't trust him, but because I didn't trust his silence. There were no messages, no calls to anyone unusual. But his search history made my heart stutter. How to track phone locations. Cabin door locks, remote control. How to delete online history permanently. I dropped the phone. The next morning he packed the car for me. Soft blankets, my favorite tea. The little blue baby onesie we'd bought together. He kissed my forehead before I left, gently like he used to. "Be safe," he said. "I'll see you soon." The drive was long, winding through the woods. The cabin stood alone, surrounded by whispering pines. Peaceful. Too peaceful. That night, I lay awake listening to the creaks in the walls. The baby shifted inside me, restless, uneasy. I reached for my phone to call Daniel, but there was no signal. Then I heard it, a car engine. Distant at first, then closer. Headlights flared through the window. My heart leapt, but before I could stand, I saw the car stop halfway up the path. A tall figure stepped out. Not Daniel. Ethan. He waved, smiling up at the cabin like it was the most natural thing in the world. My hands shook. I opened the door a crack. "What are you doing here?" I hissed. "Daniel invited me," he said easily. "Said you needed a friend." I froze. That's not. He wouldn't. But then I remembered the way Daniel had smiled. The way he'd said, "You deserve it." Ethan stepped closer. "He's not coming, is he?" Something about his tone sent a shiver down my spine. He walked inside without waiting. His eyes flicked around the cabin, then to me. "You didn't tell him everything, did you?" he asked quietly. "No," I whispered. He smiled. "Good. Some things are better left between us." Before I could respond, I heard another sound. Tires crunching on gravel. Another car. Daniel's. He walked in moments later, his expression unreadable. His gaze shifted between me and Ethan. "So," he said softly, "the truth finally in one room." I tried to speak, but my throat locked. "Daniel, He raised a hand. "Don't. I've had enough words." For a moment no one moved. Then he turned to Ethan. "You thought you could take her from me?" Ethan's smirk faltered. "I didn't." "Save it," Daniel said. His calm was terrifying. He looked at me, and something in his eyes, grief, fury, maybe both, made me step back. "I just needed you both to see what betrayal looks like in daylight," he said. "To see how far it's come." He turned, walked to the door, and stopped. "I'm not staying for the ending. You two already wrote it." Then he left. The sound of his car fading down the road was the loneliest sound I've ever heard. Ethan tried to speak, but I wasn't listening. I sank to the floor, hands over my belly, tears blurring my vision. I didn't know whose child I was carrying, and I didn't know which truth would break me more, his betrayal or mine.